Hi everyone, I wanted to do a quick video to share my thoughts about the issue with the lead British school, the issue around the bullying of the young girl. It's very disheartening, and for me there are a lot of parts, different moving parts to the issue. There are issues around the girl that was bullied. There's something to say about the girl that bullied. There's something to say about the young boy that looked and just observed what was going on. There's something to say about the school. There's something to say about the parents, the home front. There's something to say also about the government as well. It's really disheartening because it's been happening for a long time, and there are many children that are facing these issues that are unable to express themselves, and we don't even know that that's what they're going through. For the child that was bullied, it's disheartening, like I said, and I'm happy that eventually we found out about this one. My preference is always to say that every time a child is being bullied, the child should speak up and stand up for herself or for himself. But there are situations where it could actually be very difficult for the child to stand up for himself or herself, especially when the child feels like there might be more trouble. Because really, it's possible that in this situation, if the girl had said anything, perhaps other people would have pounced on the girl as well. It's a type 1, but what's important in situations like this is that the child is able to report the situation to a trusted adult, or the child gets home and the child is able to speak up. I don't know how this issue came up. I don't know whether it was a camera leak. I don't know whether the child actually reported. If the child reported, that's great. Otherwise, it's just important for parents to keep on encouraging their children every time they experience bullying, anytime they experience issues that are uncomfortable. It's important that these kids are encouraged to talk about it. It's also a great opportunity to talk about parents just encouraging conversations with the children. Let's keep encouraging them to speak up. Sometimes the kids don't want to say anything because they feel like if I tell my parents, they'll be upset. But we have to create relationships with our kids where even if they mess up, they still know that they can come home and talk about these things. They can talk about these issues. So I'm glad that this is at this point, but certainly there are issues with the bully herself. The bully is a child as well, and I do not support any form of bullying or any form of violent behavior. Despite that, I'm of the opinion that the bully should not be written off. Thankfully, the bully is still a child and should be spoken to, should be guided. I know that disciplinary measures have kicked in. I don't know whether it's a suspension or the child was expelled, whatever the case. I'm very interested in what happens with the child. Will there be conversations with the child to see how to restore that child back into the school system in a way that will not break the child? Will there be some sort of support given to the child, maybe to see to see a coach or something, just so, because it's been a lot even for the bully herself. And I don't support what has happened, but we cannot write off even the bully. We cannot write off the bully. Sometimes kids pick up stuff from home, they pick up stuff from friends at school, they pick up stuff from the things that they watch, and it's just really unfortunate. But we can't give up on any child, and that's why it's very important that the parents not only correct the child, but they also find a way to have that child restored and have that child internalize the lessons, rather than the child just feeling overwhelmed, like, oh yes, I made a mistake. So how do we, even people who mess up big time and are incarcerated, there's usually some requirements to try to help them, especially those that can get back into the society, to help them to learn from their mistakes and deter them from doing those things the next time. So yes, it's a great thing that she's been disciplined. It's a great thing that she's come out to publicly apologize. But it's also important that the child is not just left and the parents are mindful of how, that child is treated. Because, it's a good thing that this came out, but there are many people out there who do the same thing. Maybe the child was even bullied herself, and that's where she probably learned that from. So no excuses being made, but at the same time, we shouldn't give up on that child, because I believe very strongly that great things could come out of both the bully and even the bullied child. Another thing to talk about is the young guy that just sat there, and it's interesting how he was literally enjoying what was going on. Perhaps that has happened a good number of times, and he just feels like there's no big deal. She's a junior girl and all of that. That's really, it's saddening that we couldn't even have one person stand up for that girl. There was also somebody behind the camera. I'm guessing that person should have been able to stand up for the girl. There were people, there were spectators, other kids just looking and watching what was going on. It's important that we teach our kids to not only observe, even if they do not participate in the issue. It's important that they're able to stand up for the kids that are being bullied. Perhaps if maybe one or two kids had said something, maybe the bully would have thought that, oh, I'm doing something wrong here. But nobody said anything. Everybody seemed to have been enjoying what was going on. Those that were not enjoying it just probably felt like, well, it doesn't really matter. It's not me. So we need to teach our kids to stand up for one another and stand up against wrongdoing. As parents as well, we need to teach our kids to be more tolerant of other people. You may not agree with what someone is saying. You may not agree with someone's approach, but even if you do not agree, you don't have to be violent in your approach. You can disagree with sense. You can disagree while showing self-respect for yourself and self-respect even for the other kids that are involved in the situation. It's of different parts, and for the school as well. I'm wondering, are there anti-bully policies in school? Every school would say they have anti-bully policies, but do the children actually know about this? Do they talk to the kids about it? Does the school have people like a guidance counselor team, counseling team, or, some leadership team that talk to the kids about character development? Yes, we might have children that come from homes that do not pay attention to these things. We might have kids that interact with kids outside that do not pay attention to good behavior. But school is also an opportunity for these kids to learn. School is an opportunity for them to pick up good habits, even if in the home front it's opposite. And there are kids that in the home front they have parents that are trying to guide them. The kids don't get it yet, but if in school they also have the opportunity to learn the same things, then most likely the kids would catch it at some point in time. There's a lot of expectation for the school. What culture does the school have? What culture does the school have? What are the kids imbibing? What are the values that they have? I think I watched a video where the kids were saying this happens all the time and all of that. It's a shame if it happens like that, and I doubt that the kids will be telling lies saying that it happens when it really doesn't. So apart from having your hall mistress and hall master or whatever, does the school have ears amongst the children? Do you know what's going on? Do you know what's really, really going on? Are there suggestion boxes or something where people can just toss in information and say, this is what is going on anonymously, and you can know as a school what to do in situations like this, or to actually be informed of issues that are going on like this that the kids don't want to come out to tell you. Also, from a government perspective, I know that there are definitely regulations for public schools, but how much does government regulate private schools? How much does government regulate private schools? And how independent is this regulation, if at all? How independent is the regulation? Is it really independent regulation? Are there checks and balances to ensure that the private schools are actually meeting up to the standard that is expected? Is it just depending on whatever if this private school may have better values and ensure that these policies or against bullying are adhered to, and this other private school, well, we don't really know because it's a private school, we can't really ask too many questions. What's government doing about that? What's government doing about that? These issues have been happening too many times. Sometimes it's more damaging. It's more damaging than this. We've had issues where parents have accused schools that because of bullying, crazy things have happened to their children. And it's so unfortunate. So there has to be policies all the way from the top, all the way from government, to see if there can be stricter policies around bullying. It's crazy, like I said. Unfortunately, while also listening to the conversations, I find that what the kids were even talking about was maybe something around breaking someone's heart or something. Even the conversation itself, who does that point to? Perhaps it points to the kids themselves, the children, what they're exposed to, and all of that. And we don't have control over what our kids are exposed to. We can try, but really, do we really have all that control? What we can try to do is to build the conscience of our children. And how can you build the conscience of your children if you don't have conversations with them, if you don't understand what their struggles are, if you don't understand what the issues are at school, and then you know where to come in, how to advise them, how to help them to navigate issues like this. In fact, a lot of times, conversations like that just show that the kids are already distracted. They're distracted, they're on a tangent, right? So it's important that parents are involved. Parents know at home, at least, to give guidance. And it's not like these kids are the ones taking advice from themselves. So yes, I know parents are super busy. Parents have a whole lot that they're having to deal with. There's adult stuff that they have to think about. But we have to make up time. We have to try to make up time for these kids to see how we can help them through their struggles, because they legitimately have these struggles. So these are my thoughts. Please share your thoughts, share your comments. Perhaps somebody that knows somebody might see it, and it might help the schools themselves. It might help the parents. It might help policymakers as well, to see how we can reduce these issues and hopefully bring it to an all-time low, so that our children can have they can actually be in safe spaces when they're at school. So thank you for listening.